The first thing her mother noticed wasn't that Annie was gone. It was that the balcony door was open. Not wide. Not obviously forced. Just enough to let the warm night air drift into the hotel room, and just enough to feel wrong. Annie hated sleeping with the balcony open. She'd said it twice that week. The second thing her mother noticed was the phone on the nightstand. Screen dark. No missed calls. No late-night scrolling. Just sitting there exactly where Annie always left it. And that's when the quiet started to feel too big for the room. Because Annie Caldwell never went anywhere without her phone. Not to the pool. Not to the arcade. Not even downstairs to grab ice. So at 11:47 p.m., standing in the soft blue glow of the hotel lamp, her mother did the one thing she hadn't done yet. She called Annie's name. No answer. At first, it didn't feel like an emergency. Resorts are busy. Teens wander. Elevators get missed. Phones get forgotten. There are always small explanations that make parents pause just long enough to hope for the normal answer. Her father checked the hallway. Empty. Her mother checked the bathroom again. Still empty. By 11:53 p.m., the pause turned into movement. They split up. One toward the lobby. One toward the pool deck. Both still telling themselves the same quiet lie. She's probably just downstairs. But the longer the minutes stretched, the more one small detail kept pressing at the back of her mother's mind. The balcony door. Because Annie didn't just dislike sleeping with it open. She always locked it. Always. Security footage would later confirm Annie was last seen at 11:12 p.m. walking alone down the fourth-floor hallway. Barefoot. That detail would bother investigators later. Because when her mother checked the room again, slowly this time, she saw them. Annie's sandals. Still by the bed. Placed neatly side by side. As if she had never planned to leave. By midnight, resort security was involved. They did what resorts always do first. Checked the obvious places. Pool area. Game room. Snack bar. Elevator cameras. Nothing. No sign of Annie leaving the building. No footage of her entering the lobby. No record of her key card being used on any door after 11:08 p.m. But there was one thing. One small detail that didn't sit right with the night manager reviewing the hallway footage. At 11:12 p.m., Annie walks down the hall. Calm. Unhurried. Like someone who knows exactly where they're going. But 12 seconds before she appears on camera, something moves in the far corner of the frame. Too quick to identify clearly. Too small to confirm. And just outside the camera's full view. At 12:26 a.m., the call was made. Missing juvenile. The next morning, the resort felt different. Quieter in that artificial way busy places get when everyone knows something is wrong but no one is saying it out loud. Search teams combed the beach. Maintenance checked stairwells. Staff reviewed hours of footage. Guests were asked to remain available for questions. And still, nothing. No footprints on the sand. No sightings near the exits. No signs of forced entry anywhere in the building. Just the open balcony door. The untouched phone. And the empty space where Annie should have been. Day 2 brought the first wave of outside attention. Local police expanded the search radius. Boats scanned the shoreline. K9 units worked the surrounding streets. That's when another detail surfaced. Annie's phone, the one left in the room, showed something unusual in the activity log. At 11:05 p.m., the screen had been manually unlocked. At 11:06, it locked again. No messages sent. No apps opened. Just on, then off. Her parents were certain. Annie hadn't been back in the room after saying goodnight. So who unlocked the phone? Investigators never gave a clear answer. By the end of the first week, the case started to shift. From missing to missing without explanation. And that distinction matters more than people realize. Because most teens who wander off at resorts are found quickly. They turn up at arcades, at nearby shops, with friends they forgot to mention. But Annie didn't surface. Not in the first 24 hours. Not in the first 72. And not in the first 2 weeks. 6 weeks later, a call came in from a small medical clinic nearly 2 towns over. A teenage girl had walked in alone. No bag. No phone. Wearing clothes that didn't match the weather. Disoriented. Dehydrated. And unable or unwilling to explain where she had been. It was Annie. Physically alive. But not the same. Doctors noted signs of prolonged stress, sleep deprivation, and something else they were careful not to speculate about publicly. When investigators tried to reconstruct the timeline, the gaps only deepened. Annie could remember going to bed. She could remember hearing something outside the room. But after that, her memory fractured. Small flashes. Disconnected moments. Nothing that formed a clear path from the resort to where she was eventually found. And one detail still sits heavy with the original responding officers. That balcony door. Because forensic review later confirmed something subtle. It had not been forced. It had not been tampered with. It had been opened. From the inside. To this day, investigators say there is no confirmed evidence of how Annie left that resort floor without clearer camera footage. No confirmed sighting of her exiting through the main lobby. And no clear explanation for the movement caught just outside the hallway camera frame. Cases like Annie's carry an important awareness message that often gets overlooked. Most disappearances don't begin with something loud. They begin with something small that feels slightly off. A door that shouldn't be open. Shoes left behind. A routine that breaks by just a few minutes. If someone in your life has consistent habits, locking doors, sending check-ins, keeping their phone close, pay very close attention when those patterns suddenly change. Because early recognition is often the difference between fast recovery and a case that stretches into weeks of unknowns. If this story made you pause, share it with someone who travels with family or teens. And I want to hear what you think. What do you believe happened in the 12 seconds before Annie appeared on that hallway camera? Stay aware. Trust small changes.